So what we did for Jack and Jill, right? So essentially what we did is came up with a strategy to look at their doubling game and to optimize for a better outcome, right? So we looked at a $6,000 increase in taxes saved, right? We kept the savings at 25K, and then we increased their return on investment from 55 grand to $114,000, right? Therefore, we're going from a net asset growth of 84K up to $149,000 per annum, right? We divide that by the net asset position, and now we're going from 16.15 to 28.6%. So what does that look like in the rule of 72? 72 divided by 28.6 is 2.5%, right?
2.5 years.
2.5 years, beg your pardon. Yes, thanks, Terry. 2.5 years. So by making those changes, you're basically saving them a bunch of time, right? So for Jack and Jill, you can imagine this is actually clients, so I've changed their names just to keep them anonymous. But these are exact numbers that we're working with, right? So we're looking at that. We're going from 4.5 to 2.5, right? So to get to 10 mil at 85.5 years, right? We're going to 47.5 years, thereby saving them decades to get to 10 mil, right? For the 6 mil target, we're going from 49.5 to 27.5, right? So really, we're saving them 22 years for that initial arrive goal, right? The beauty of this thing is it's a snapshot in time. Let's say you're working with someone for, let's call it 10 years, right? This is a snapshot in time of what you can do in 1 year, right? Guess what? You can always optimize for a better outcome year in, year out to capitalize on the opportunity you've got in front of you, or tap into more of the potential that you've got. Therefore, this becomes the new baseline for year number 2, right? So you can see where I'm going here. What happens is you've got this line. This is the current trajectory. Future trajectory will start to do that. And as you work through, you start to save a whole bunch of time. This is your net asset position, basically. So what we're trying to do is trying to save decades of time to get to the next level. That's the game that we want to play within the financial context, right? So for Jack and Jill, we did exactly that. And the proposed trajectory looks like this, right? Jack and Jill buys 2 investment properties at a growth rate of 6%. So we've increased it by 1 because we've got hotspotting to help us, right? To speed up that growth, right? So we picked the right spots. So we're now growing at 6% per annum. We buy 2 $400,000 properties that's high yielding, right? So it doesn't cost them that much, right? And over that 15-year period, that $400,000 property will jump up to 958 grand at 6%, which is still reasonably conservative, right?
Yeah.
658K net asset position and a cash flow position of 2K on average over that 15-year period gets them 54K, basically. Invested again at 6%. So these aren't huge numbers, right? But what happens is instead of getting 2.43, right, they're now heading towards 4.19 because they've also invested in other things. Now they're diversified across multiple properties, multiple states, multiple LGAs, along with different asset classes as well, because you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. Where most Aussies fall for, the trap that most Aussies fall for is they invest in a really, really massive asset. They utilize their borrowing capacity, which is the catalyst for massive wealth creation in Australia, right? And they're stuck for 5 to 10 years before doing anything else, right? So for Jack and Jill here, by just adding a couple of properties in their portfolio, along with a diversified portfolio, they're going from 2.43 to 4.19. Now, what if they did exactly the same thing? Well, not exactly the same thing, but something similar to their superannuation, right? So their super invested, let's call it an ART or wherever it is, Sun Super or Hestar or Host Plus, getting them 7% per annum, right? What if they went to another super fund, like a self-managed super fund, where they acquire a property, right? They add some pre-tax contributions into super, right? And they basically do the same thing, but they're aiming for 1% more. So they're a little bit more strategic in their approach. So what's happened there is they're going from 1.9 mil all the way to a whopping 3.27 mil, right? So essentially what we've done is we've added an extra 1.76 mil by adding 2 properties in the portfolio and get a diversified investment, a portfolio for them, along with the superannuation of an extra 1.37 over a 15-year period, right? So what happens is it speeds up the doubling game tremendously so that they build massive momentum, and it's a machine that never, ever stops.